Supernatural thrillers are some of the hardest to make. That's because there's always a fine line between making it spooky or overly dramatic. Hi, I'm Suhas and I'll be reviewing Vijay Deverakonda's Taxiwaala today. After a long delays and a huge battle with piracy, Taxiwaala is finally ready for release, and the film is about this earnest, happy-go-lucky man who's just graduated from college and is on the lookout for a job, and he suddenly sees that being a cab driver can be very lucrative. But one thing, he has a problem: he just needs a car. He just needs to buy a car, and he finds the right one in an old vintage car which nobody wants. And he decides to buy it, and that changes his life all around. He suddenly starts making money, he finds a girlfriend, and suddenly things are looking up for this young lad. Unfortunately, he suddenly realizes that this car is possessed. What I like about this film is that it keeps it light for most of its part. Despite it being a supernatural film, Vijay Deverakonda as ever is fabulous, and I think he's one of the shining lights of Taxiwaala. In fact, scenes involving Vijay and his car are really hilarious and are the ones to watch out for. Where Taxiwaala goes wrong is while it starts off quite well, suddenly the film loses the plot midway. The second half is unfortunately not up to the mark, mainly because it goes very deeper into the flashback sequences, which is fine. I mean, of course, you have to explain why there is a ghost in the first place and go into the details, but unfortunately after a point it gets a little too much and it veers away from Vijay's story, which is actually what you want to see. So this instead becomes a completely different film altogether, and the director is trapped between whether he wants to tell Vijay's story or the ghost story, and that somehow makes it a complicated mess. Taxiwaala is thoroughly entertaining in parts. It has some good solid performances, with Vijay Deverakonda leading the way with yet another assured performance. The humor is quite nice, and there is a certain logic to why the supernatural element is there in place. It's not like suddenly ghost comes and you have these random spooky elements which a lot of films have. So Taxiwaala is a refreshing break from that. Unfortunately, as it goes, I think it ties itself up in knots, and I think after a point the director runs out of imagination, and that's why we come up with a weak climax which hampers an otherwise entertaining film.